what if? What if things were more fun? What if I gave myself permission to be open? What if I started to consider what has meaning to me, not what everybody else means for me to do, want for me to do? It's a game changer. So regardless of how many years we're here, each moment becomes more magical.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. V, triple board certified MD and performance and longevity expert. And today I have a very special guest, Dr. Melissa Grill Petersen, who will be sharing the 4 secrets, the 4 M's for a longer, fuller life. If this is your first time joining this podcast, welcome in. This podcast is all about health, wellness, longevity. We bring thought leaders in the health and wellness space to show you how to live a longer and fuller life. And if you haven't already picked up a copy of my book, Thrive State, go to Amazon.com or wherever books are sold. And for all of you who have been following the podcast, thank you for making this podcast such a success. If you haven't already, please leave us a 5-star review wherever podcasts are heard. That will help this show grow. Now, our guest today is actually a longevity expert. She's the founder of the Human Longevity Institute and the author of Codes of Longevity. If you don't already know, our body is a bioinformatic organism made up of over 37 trillion cells, and inside each one of those cells is DNA. That is the blueprint for you. This is the code that holds your limitless potential to a long and well-lived life. The path to longevity is personal and precise. It is an understanding of how our thoughts, habits, lifestyles, environment, and perceptions actually influence and inform the inner world of our cells. They are not simply one thing, but a complete system of unique interactions from your daily life that are the signals and inputs informing your DNA to either express or repress your codes for longevity. And on today's podcast, we actually reveal 4 secrets, 4 M's of reaching a long, fulfilling life. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest, Dr. Melissa Grill Petersen. And welcome back to another episode of the Thrive State Podcast, special edition here at the A4M, which is the world's leading, largest longevity conference there is. And with me now, Dr. Melissa Grill Petersen.
Yes.
I've been on her podcast. We've actually collaborated before. It's the first time we're meeting in real life.
He's my soul brother. I mean, I saw him like, Dr. Who, it's you. So this is fantastic.
All right. So before we dive into the topic, which today is really about 4 key things you can do to extend your life, the 4 M's. But before we get into that, we have a segment called the 5 to Thrive. 5 quick questions, game show style. 1,000 points each.
All right, bring it.
If you get it right, then I get a beverage at your choice. Now, normally when I do this online with people, we have to wait until we're in the same city before I deliver it. But here, if you win, we can do it right here, right now. All right, so
Okay.
Dr. Melissa, are you ready to play the 5 to Thrive?
I am.
All right.
Big money.
Question number 1. As a child, what superhero did you want to grow up to be?
Well, as a female, there were very few limitations or limited options. So of course it was Wonder Woman.
All right.
Yeah, she had an invisible jet.
That's pretty darn cool. She's sitting in one right now. Watch her take off. Question number 2 is, if I forced you to get on stage to sing a karaoke song, what song would that be?
Oh my gosh. Oh, happy birthday. It's the only thing I know off the top of my head.
So far, 2,000 points. She's getting them right. Question number 3 is, what one book was probably the most transformational in your life?
Oh, goodness. You know what?
Yeah.
Okay, so from a clinical standpoint, it was Biology of Belief by
Yeah.
Dr. Christie.
One of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
We'll probably dive into some of that book in our conversation.
Yeah.
Question number 4, 3,000 points so far. Will she get it? We'll see. 2 more questions left. Question number 4 is, what are your favorite biohacks now?
My favorite biohack, and we will talk about this, it is circadian. I'll say circadian fasting. Everybody knows about intermittent fasting, but this is whole next level. It's not just about go do a 12 or a 16-8. It's like, no, circadian fasting is my favorite biohack, and we'll talk about that in the interview to break it down.
All right, we're going to break that down. Last question for all the marbles. How does Dr. Melissa want to be remembered?
Oh, you are bringing it, my friend. Wow. Okay, that's a heart-centered question. How do I want to be remembered? I think it's really. I want to be remembered for positively contributing to the expansion and the upliftment of human thriving across the world.
Amazing. It's an energetic thing, and I already feel it. I already knew that. 5,000 points, she wins!
Woo!
We might get the behind the scenes and her claiming her prize. We'll see. So,
He's
look,
so good.
I know you have a very rich background that didn't start off initially in medicine. You were like getting on stages dancing, was it?
Yes. So health started for me at the young age of 2 as a dancer, and that took me into wellness, fitness, choreography, nutrition, personal trainer. But my dance career did take me to television, and then that took me into #1 rated show on television for a minute in time, and so that was a very interesting live television performing across the country, and while simultaneously having a practice, right? So kind of going on this journey of health and fitness and entertainment, getting my doctorate.
That's why we vibe so well.
It is. He's the celebrity doc, and it's kind of like, wow. And but yeah, so my doctorate was in it's chiropractic and natural medicine, and then continued to just increase my toolbox. We both are kindred spirits with our love for the mind, and so I did a deep dive down the rabbit hole of just neuro-linguistic psychology, positive psychology, behavioral change, getting tons of certifications and training in that, and continuing to look to say, as humans, we're not pieces and parts. We are these bioinformatic, dynamic beings, and so how do we continue to understand what's possible to live our richest, healthiest, most meaningful lives? And so it's been kind of this journey of putting the fun, putting the health, putting the wellness, putting the science, putting the research, the technology, all the advancements together, which is now today landed me into really my passion, which is longevity. And we met on my longevity path. You were a guest on my longevity summit. I wrote the best-selling book called Longevity, and now I'm the founder of the Human Longevity Institute. And so we certify practitioners, as well as we have programs for just enthusiasts that want to slow down, stop, or even reverse the rate and pace of biological aging.
That's awesome. So get the book, The Longevity Code. The Human Longevity Institute is actually a great resource for anybody, practitioner or a layperson wanting to be a health coach, somebody who just wants to improve health and longevity for themselves. It's a great resource to go to. Check that out. Now, to tease them a little bit, we're just going to give you a nice little nugget. 4 keys, the 4 M's to longevity.
The 4 M's.
So,
all right, and I know that I can feel this is game show style, so I'm going to bring it fast. And so the first M is mindset, but not in the way you think, because we all think just like think it and it will, and you'll achieve it. Yes, and the mindset is perception. So of course the research just is unequivocal in what it shows that our perception of age, what we think it means, what it means to us, determines how fast or slow our physiology responds. So in a 20-year-long study, what was looked at is that the individuals who perceived aging as a process of gaining wisdom, of looking forward to being revered as the elder in society, those individuals that look forward to aging, they lived on average 7.5 years longer, irrespective of current diagnoses, socioeconomic status, gender, which is phenomenal. Like everything that means take everything else away, and it was their mind, what they believed about age, versus those that held a belief that aging it's when we break down, we decline, we're going to be lost, we're going to be forgotten, it's painful, there's no happy ending there. They age at a faster rate, they experience a greater state of cardiovascular disease, all-cause mortality.
it sounds like those people that are really enjoying being in the present and then looking forward to the future rather than fearing what they had lost in the past.
Completely. And when people ask, well, Melissa, how do I actually do this? It's really simple. The moment that level, whether it's around how you perceive the word age or anything, let that be a trigger and to just kind of activate you to think, let me flip to the opposite side of the same coin. And if I wasn't afraid, how would I be? Right? If I wasn't worried, how would I be? And so the moment you just go, let me just look at this from this angle. What if I believed that aging was fun? What if I believed this was an amazing experience happening for me? That can begin to entrain your mind to just look forward versus back and to see new potentials and possibilities that will speak to your physiology and have a positive effect.
Yeah, and I find one of the things, you mentioned the word fun. Just for fun, to just try to flip the switch. I know for some people are like, you know what, no, I am this way. And they hold on to it. Like, this is baloney to be able to. So just for fun,
Try it.
you don't have to, you don't have to keep it, you don't have to buy it.
That's right.
Try the other lens and try to actually feel that.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, we could have a 30-minute discussion just on that. It's so powerful. Like, if we did nothing else but talk about it, because here's the thing, gang. You know, life is, the very essence and nature of life is change. Like, we are change. We're not static. We're not stagnant. And it's really interesting as humans how we like to put ourselves in these nice, tight roles, responsibilities, lanes, certifications. Like, if I just do this, if I hit this achievement, this is part of your story.
Yeah.
And then you get there and you're like, okay, well, I must have done something wrong because this isn't quite right. And so when we are willing to, yes, just I call it the what if game. Well, what if? What if? Let's not be serious. Nothing serious going on here. We're just having fun.
What if?
This episode of the Thrive State podcast is brought to you by the Thrive State Accelerator. The Thrive State Accelerator is actually a home course that I developed using the exact same techniques I work with my celebrity clients, CEOs, and executives on how to get them to the Thrive State. The Thrive State Accelerator teaches you how to master your 7 bioenergetic elements. That's sleep, nutrition, movement, stress and emotional mastery, relationships, our thoughts and mindset, as well as purpose. In this Thrive State Accelerator, you're also going to get a bonus module on optimization. That's how I talk about supplementation, peptides, all the optimization techniques I use with my clients to get them to the Thrive State. Now, for some of you who are just joining us for the first time, you guys might be wondering, what is the Thrive State? Well, the Thrive State is actually the energy, the epigenetic environment we give to ourselves, telling our DNA how to act and how to respond. And if we want optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, if we can master these 7 bioenergetic elements, our ability to have those 3 things that we just said, optimal health, longevity, and peak performance, is at its greatest. And it also prevents you from getting chronic symptoms like brain fog, being overweight, feeling sluggish, acne, pain, all these chronic symptoms, as well as preventing you from getting chronic disease. So getting to that Thrive State is really getting to that state to master being that very best version of yourself so you could show up for you, for your family, for your business, everything that's important to you. So go ahead, check it out right now at kienfood.com/accelerator and use coupon code podcast25 for 25% off. Now back to the podcast.
All right, that's the first M mindset. What's
All right.
Number 2?
So let's go with a big one. And actually, you know, Dr. Peter Attia was just talking about this today. This is one of the big ones he talks about. So the second one is movement. When you look across the literature, there is nothing, friends, nothing that compares to exercise when it comes to slowing down the rate and pace. And what do I mean by slowing down the rate and pace of biological aging? Let's just take a moment and define this. This is not how many years are on the birthday cake. This is what's happening at the cellular level in our bodies. This is what's allowing us to either, you know, create greater states of energy and vitality and youth and vivid vigor, or we're breaking down into faster states of dysfunction and decline and disease. And so when we are aging biologically at an accelerated pace, that correlates with an increased rate and risk of all-cause mortality, meaning we have a greater likelihood that we are going to die faster and sooner than people that do exercise. If we don't exercise, people that are exercising, we are at a greater risk than they are of all the things.
5 times. So they took people, it was a VA study demonstrating that if you're on the top quartile of cardiorespiratory fitness, you have a 5 times less chance of dying of anything than the people in the bottom quartile.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. And so what I like to start with people is, you know, we all have these again, these perceptions of what it means to exercise or to move. And I'm all about completely like, let's throw out the rule book, because the way that we perceive the right and the wrongness is what gets us stuck, and we never move forward. So I'm like, forget the rule book. Step one, move in a way that feels good for you. And that doesn't mean that you have to go to the gym unless you like going to the gym, right? But the other thing it means isn't about going, I've got to work out, so I've got to do this continuous thing in this way for this amount of time. Now, to be fair, the research does show that to get the greatest benefits, you want to be in that zone 2 training, which means you can comfortably be doing exercise while still talking, carrying on a conversation. You feel a slight challenge, but you can keep on going. And that is our starting point of that continuously for about 20 to 30 minutes is where those benefits show. However, as you're working your way up to that, let's say you don't work out, you're on the couch, like you're like, this sounds like pain to me, I don't want to have to go do one more thing on my schedule. Then realize that there are non-exercise activities, and these add up in the data as well to have profound effects. And so I like to just say to people, hey, let's just start with our steps, because we know that we're just getting in those steps from any type of daily movement or activity, then that is putting us on that track to get those benefits.
Movement number 2. So far, those 2 things are also to be in the Thrive state. We are magnetic. It's the same.
I know. Sorry.
Number 3, the third M is.
Okay, the third M is molecules. Now, in the lane of longevity, everybody wants to know what's the thing. Is it NMN? Is it NAD? Like, what's the latest supplement or peptide or hormone that I should be taking? But I like to back up even to a more basic level, because what we have to remember is that as human organisms, we are a collection of more than 37 trillion cells, and every cell is a unit of play. And so when we think about molecules, what we miss the most are the essential molecules that the cell needs to actually survive, let alone thrive. And so what are those molecules? It's oxygen. Oxygen. We can go weeks without food, days without water, right? And minutes without air. And so the big one that I'll take time on today, there are a few others, and I just told you what they are. So the other molecules are going to be your complex carbs, your proteins, your fats, and those break down your micromolecules and your amino acids, and we also need hydration. But let's just talk about oxygen for a moment, because we are in a chronic state. Of course, we learned this through the pandemic. All of a sudden, everybody started going, let's get a pulse ox. But do you even know what oxygen saturation means in your body? Most people don't. Most of us are breathing at such an accelerated respiration rate that we are actually in a state of what's called hypercapnic. And that simply means we are excreting out too much CO2 and not getting enough O2 in at the cellular level. So there has to be this balance. We all think, let me just, like CO2 is bad, get it out. But CO2 and O2 have to be in balance at the cellular wall so that we can actually open that gate, we can bring that oxygen in, and we can flush out that CO2. So the simple beginning point is to become aware of your breath. Just simply notice, are you breathing fast or slow? In and out through the mouth, in and out through the nose. So the mantra is breathe slow, low, in and out through the nose.
Oh, we have to repeat that again.
Okay? So breathe slow, low, in and out through the nose.
We're going to do that dance together.
I love it. Oh my gosh, okay. We're going to make it a thing. We are.
Real idea. Bring us home with the last M.
All right, the last M is meaning. Meaning.
Yes.
What good is a long life lived well if it's not a meaningful life? So that means it has to be of purpose for you. Of course, we go around going, what's my purpose? Our purpose is simply being here right now and noticing what brings richness, what brings joy, what brings appreciation, curiosity, inspiration, what lights me up in this moment. He's my soul brother. As I said, he's like, yes. That's why he's like, take it home. But this is so true, gang. I mean, like, this is, we are lighting up here right now because this is meaningful to us. And we're sharing this with you because I firmly believe that we each hold that, one of my favorite quotations is that you never know how far-reaching something you think, say, or do today can affect the lives of millions tomorrow. So just by being here in this moment right now and sharing this information and you just taking whatever fits for you, releasing what doesn't, and just kind of going, what if? what if things were more fun? What if I gave myself permission to be open? What if I started to consider what has meaning to me, not what everybody else means for me to do, want for me to do? It's a game changer. So regardless of how many years we're here, each moment becomes more magical. Yeah.
Woo!
Woo!
Goosebumps. She could see it. It's real.
It is.
That's awesome. That was just a nugget of brilliant mind that is Dr. Melissa Grill Petersen. The Longevity Code is the book. Human Longevity Institute is where you can go. Tons of resources there. Where can people find all this stuff?
Yeah, so humanlongevity.institute.com has tons of free resources, you guys. If that gets hard to find, you can find me at docmelissa, docmelissa.com. It's my personal site, and that'll redirect you over to Human Longevity as well. You can, all the things.
Awesome. She's won the 5 to Thrive. Last question for you. Everything that you've experienced from these conferences, the spirituality, everything, what has been your best medicine?
So what just came to me is love, is the word that popped in. And let me be more specific. The best medicine is self-love. Self-love. Because man, we get ourselves in some kind of way, and then we project it, we blame it, and we shame it, and we judge it, and we coulda, woulda, should all over ourselves, and that doesn't help us or anybody. And so we must begin to love within so that we can overflow and share.
Love, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Melissa, thank you for being on the Thrive Day podcast.
Thank you, my friend.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Thrive State podcast. And if this podcast is bringing a lot of value to you, if you find that your life is just improving with this podcast, that your life is getting to the next level, please consider supporting it. And here's a few ways you can do so. You can do so by liking this video and commenting on this video, and also sharing this video with your friends and family. Another thing you can do is go to ratethispodcast.com/ThriveState. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review there. It will really, really help this show grow. And this will give me more time so that I could actually give more content to you, just like you got in this episode. And if you haven't already picked up a copy of my book, Thrive State, Your Blueprint for Optimal Health, Longevity, and Peak Performance, you can pick it up now. It became a #1 new release in longevity. Go to thrivestatebook.com. And if you enjoy the book, please consider leaving us a review as well. And the last thing you can do, if you're liking everything here and you want to work more closely with me as well as my team to get you into the Thrive State, go to kienvu.com/accelerator and consider joining the home course, the Thrive State Accelerator. It's really the course that I use. It's the concepts that I use personally when I work with CEOs, celebrities, and my high-profile clients to get them to the Thrive State. Again, the Thrive State Accelerator at kienvu.com/accelerator. And because you're a listener of this podcast, I want you to save 25% by using the coupon code podcast25. I hope we continue to give value to you. And remember always, you are your best medicine.